A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, a psychopathic narcissist, teeny tiny arsonist. I'm the spark in the night, wildfire untamed, tiny little arsonist can't be named. Matchstick heart, flicker in my hand, lighting up the shadows where no one can stand. Sneak around the corners, mischief in my eyes, setting fire to my socks, watch it rise. Little flames jumping, chaos in the air, tiny arsonist thumping everywhere. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, a psychopathic narcissist. An arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, sparking up the night, no way to resist. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, burning up the world with a cheeky twist. A tiny arsonist, a little arsonist, teeny tiny arsonist. Yeah. Burning bridges just to light my way, flames of chaos where the shadows play. Unseen symphony, the soundtrack in my head. Tiny man's a fire starter, wishing I was dead. Matchstick fingers flick the flame again, setting fire to a book, then to a pen. Chaos in the night, mischief on the rise. Tiny arsonist, fire lighting up the sky. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, a psychopathic narcissist. An arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, sparking up the night, no way to resist. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, burning up the world with a cheeky twist. A tiny arsonist, a little narcissist, teeny tiny arsonist. Ember lost in the storm, but never gone. Tiny man's fire blazing all night long. Sneaks into the kitchen, lights the toaster up, laughs as smoke curls, fills the cup. Fire starter soul with the blaze that's strong. Tiny arsonist, mischief can't be wrong. From socks to toasters, nothing safe tonight. Tiny arsonist, spark a wild delight. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, a psychopathic narcissist. An arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, sparking up the night, no way to resist. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, burning up the world with a cheeky twist. A tiny arsonist, a little narcissist, teeny tiny arsonist. Yeah. Dancing flames in the corner, shadows flick and sway. Tiny man's got plans, setting fires to play. Matches in his pocket, lighter in his hand, playing with the fire like it's all been planned. Unseen symphony hums a fiery tune. Tiny arsonist dance beneath the moon. Flames flicker wild, chaos in the air. Tiny arsonist, mischief everywhere. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, a psychopathic narcissist. An arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, sparking up the night, no way to resist. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, burning up the world with a cheeky twist. A tiny arsonist, a little narcissist, teeny tiny arsonist. In his eyes, a mischievous grin. Tiny man's chaos, where do I begin? Burning up the curtain, setting sparks on the floor, laughing as the fire's knocking at the door. Unseen symphony plays the soundtrack loud. Tiny arsonist lost inside the crowd. Chaos in the night, mischief on the rise. Tiny arsonist, fire lighting up the sky. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, a psychopathic narcissist. A tiny little arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, sparking up the night, no way to resist. A tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, bombing up the world with a cheeky twist. A tiny arsonist, a little narcissist, teeny tiny arsonist. A mischievous grin, tiny man's chaos, where do I begin? Burning up the curtain, setting sparks on the floor, laughing as the fire's knocking at the door. Unseen symphony plays the soundtrack loud. Tiny arsonist lost inside the crowd. Chaos in the night, mischief on the rise. Tiny arsonist, fire lighting up the sky. Tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, a psychopathic narcissist. Tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, sparking up the night, no way to resist. narcissist, a tiny arsonist, a tiny little arsonist, burning up the world with a cheeky twist. A tiny arsonist, a little narcissist, teeny tiny arsonist.